So not giving you my name, and I'm not giving you my shoulder number.
No.
I will wager you've never filed a lawsuit in anyone. I will wager.
And that's on.
This episode is sponsored by Plodding Along. Make sure you check the link below, subscribe to his channel, and give him the credit he deserves. In this episode, Plodding Along is filming outside a police station when an inspector arrives, clearly trying to show his authority. He immediately acts aggressive, ignores proper rules, and tries to use powers he does not actually have. The best part is that Plodding Along does not react emotionally. He stays calm, focuses on the facts, and responds in a respectful way that leaves the inspector struggling to answer. The inspector never really completes the interaction or properly resolves anything. In the end, he simply gives up and walks away. It becomes a clear example of what happens when authority is not backed by the law.
You're actually on privately run grounds, so it's a police station.
Oh, I
So
see.
if you'd like to come to the public area,
Would that be privately run on the basis that it's publicly funded?
yeah, but that's not relevant to the fact that it's public infrastructure.
It's highly relevant. Hold on. It's highly relevant.
You're trespassing on the police station.
Okay.
Do you have a?
Is trespass a civil or a legal matter?
Do you have?
Is trespass a civil or a legal matter?
Do you have a request of the police?
Yes, answer the question. Is trespass a civil or police matter?
Do you have a request?
I'll answer the question for the benefit of my viewers.
I think
it's a
what
civil
you're here
matter.
to do is to ask silly questions.
It's a civil matter. It only becomes a police matter when it's
nobody's gonna be
aggravated
interested in.
trespass.
If you could
you
turn
do me
around
one
and leave
favour just to
premises,
carry on with this consensual conversation? Provide me with three forms of address.
Provide you with three forms of address.
Identity, my apologies.
I think you are asking some irrelevant questions.
I'll do it myself.
And
Oh, look at your rank. Oh, dear me, you know better than that, sir.
I think you're asking questions which aren't relevant.
Here we are, on duty covering
What
identification.
I'm not going to do, because you don't...
Could you, for the benefit of the audience, say what those two diamonds represent in your rank?
What
I
they
know.
represent is that I'm asking you...
The inspector starts by saying it's private property, but he avoids the fact that the station is funded by the public because that weakens his argument. When that excuse doesn't work, he changes his approach and threatens trespass instead, which turns out to be a mistake. Plodding Along quickly responds by explaining that trespass is usually a civil issue, not something police normally handle. But the biggest contradiction is about identification. The inspector tries to act powerful and demand details from others, while refusing to show his own badge. He wants authority over people, but he avoids the responsibility of revealing who he is.
Do you have a reason to be on
Right now I do.
premises?
Right now I do. It's to identify you.
As we haven't met, I'm wondering why you're being so
Then
hostile
introduce
with me.
yourself.
Come to the public area.
If we played police bingo today, we've got hostile, private ground when it's public. A lot of people ticking boxes at the moment. It is cliche corner, isn't it? Stick within the bounds of the law. Identify yourself. You're in uniform. That's a second formal offer. You have the opportunity to redress your error.
Have a silly conversation
for the third and final time before it goes on record.
Of an office building.
On the record for the third and final time, will you identify yourself while you're in the course of your duty?
What I'm not going to do.
Yes or no?
Is I'm not going to give you permission
Okay,
to
you're
put
not
this
identifying yourself. This is no longer a consensual conversation.
Onto the internet.
I will take it up with your superiors.
You don't have permission to put that video on the internet. You don't have my personal permission.
Tell me the law that precludes me from doing it.
You're not in a public place.
Tell me the law that precludes me from doing it.
I'm telling you that I'm not giving you personal permission to put any video onto the internet.
Don't need it.
But just so that you know.
Did you watch the Twin Towers come down?
That is relevant.
Did you watch the Twin Towers come down?
Goodness me.
Did you?
You're one of these. Okay.
Oh, one of these. Bingo time, boys. Here we go.
You're going to tell me that the police knocked the Twin Towers down or something like that?
No, don't be silly.
The moment the inspector realizes he is losing the argument, he starts calling the situation hostile, even though Plodding Along hasn't changed his tone or raised his voice at all. He stays calm and controlled the whole time. But that calmness becomes a problem for someone expecting instant obedience. Then comes the biggest stretch of all, the claim that he needs personal permission before the footage can be uploaded online. This is not a simple mistake or misunderstanding. It is a direct false claim used to create authority he does not actually have. Police officers do not get to control what people record or post just because they dislike being filmed. When a senior officer begins labeling a calm person as hostile and inventing rules about consent, it stops being about public order. It becomes about ego reacting badly because he is being challenged on camera.
Place, so we can keep talking.
There we go.
At the moment, there's people who are
Did your constabulary put these council painted lines down?
They have no
What do
relevance to
they do?
public roads.
They're public. It's publicly funded.
No, this,
1972 Criminal
This isn't
Justice
publicly
Act,
funded.
Section
There are
33,
there are
implied
signs at the
rights of
front.
access,
There are signs at the front
which
that
I've
say
read and
no
I've
public
recorded
access
and
beyond this
narrated
point.
to, and I haven't
It
been
sounds
anywhere.
like you're an angry man.
Anywhere
You're an
that I
angry
shouldn't
man
be.
who doesn't like public
Do you
services.
think personal insinuation is the way for a senior
this
officer
is-
to behave?
This is an observation. You seem to be very angry.
Angry?
You're here on a police station. You clearly don't like the police.
Would you be delighted
I'd
if
like
your
you to
Would you
come-
be delighted
I'd like
if
you to
your
come
rights were violated?
back into?
Would you be delighted? No, you
very
wouldn't.
argumentative, and it's
Oh,
far
that's a
less
crime, isn't it? What
happened to you with the
constitutes
police.
authorisation?
You have a
I'm asking
general
you now, as a
dislike
member of the
public
public.
services.
I work in a public
I think
service.
that you've got a general dislike of the police.
I work in the public service.
Okay.
The inspector weakens his own credibility when he tells PA to leave what he calls private property, while ignoring the clearly visible council double yellow lines that show they are actually standing on a public road. When PA correctly mentions Section 33 of the Criminal Justice Act 1972, the officer stops trying to explain the law or defend his position in a proper way. Unable to respond to the legal points, he falls back on childish name-calling, repeatedly labeling PA as an angry man to distract from his lack of knowledge. It comes across as a clear example of poor professionalism, where a senior officer abandons proper authority and instead resorts to petty emotional insults.
People came to where you worked to start arguments with a hostility towards what you do.
Should be allowed to film,
I
and I'd
think-
have to identify myself.
Okay.
Firstly, identify yourself as you're
The reason I'm
obligated
not
to
going
do. The reason
is
you're not going to because you're
here
acting.
with an axe to grind and you don't like
Speculation, overruled.
people
Speculation,
here for public-
overruled.
give you public service.
See how this will pan out in court? Speculation,
This
overruled.
won't end up in court.
No, it won't, because your side will settle before it goes there to
You
make a
have.
formal complaint about your lack of
Then
identification.
you're
I'll take it
you're
to the relevant
but
body.
I'm not in public.
I beg. You're on duty.
I'm always on duty.
Exactly, and you have to identify
So,
whether
no,
you're in plain clothes
I'm
or not.
in a public place.
Yes, you are.
I'm not dealing with the public.
Remember, this
you
is-
are on private property. So what I'm
This
not going to
debate
do
will be
is
taken
give
up
you
by
a name
solicitors.
to put onto the internet for your angry website where you don't like public
Angry
services.
website. Classic this
You
geezer, isn't he?
don't seem to have any questions. What do you want
I
from
have.
this interaction?
Who am I speaking with? You're now
You're
obligated
behind-
under
you're
two
behind a
rationales.
sign that says
Two
no
rationales. Your
unauthorised
code of ethics,
access.
your code of ethics, and your policies.
Please
you're on
tell me
duty.
about the code of ethics.
I think it's the other way around. You need to adhere
Well, you're
to.
giving
Look at
me
your
all the
senior.
facts.
Look at the ranking
You're
here.
giving me
Look
all
at the
the
rank.
facts. What would you like
Look
to
at the rank.
What would you like
And
to
this is
talk
how you
about? What would
behave.
you like to achieve?
They always say shit travels downwards, don't they? Hey?
Well,
The inspector's refusal to identify himself shows a serious failure of his professional responsibility. Instead of acting with honesty and integrity, he hides behind the weak and irrelevant claim that PA supposedly does not like public servants, as if someone's personal opinion could remove an officer's legal duties. When that does not work, he returns again to the private property argument, acting as if location removes accountability. PA correctly points out that under the police code of ethics, officers are expected to identify themselves when asked. The inspector is not just refusing to give his name. He is showing that he treats public transparency as optional. This kind of behavior is concerning because it undermines the trust that officers are meant to uphold and protect.
sensitive site.
Sensitive. Put some soothing lotion on it then if it's sensitive.
So you're funny as well as interesting.
Brilliant, aren't I?
Every one of your viewers will find this fascinating. Just don't walk towards my staff because, unlike me, they're
Your
not
staff?
they're not used to people who dislike the police wandering around. Hello, hi. Do you have some identification? Yeah. You do. If you could wear it when you walk around, that would be very useful.
This is a conversation you're having from a man who refuses to identify, so just take note of the hypocrisy from a senior member of your staff.
If you have no reason to be here, then I'll ask
Just
you.
see
I'll
the rank
ask you to
hypocrisy
leave,
of your comment then.
because I'm going to challenge them if they don't have a reason to be here.
Yeah, you reply one rule to them and not to yourself.
Dislike for the police.
That's a,
I don't know why you dislike the
I'll
police.
tell you what that is. That could be
You're
construed as slander
well, my observations, my personal opinion.
whilst on duty. You're not here to enforce personal opinions, you're here to enforce the law.
You
Thank you
seem
very
to
much
be-
for saying that on
You
camera.
seem to
Thank
be
you.
rather
Thank
angry.
you. Thank
Please
you.
don't
Thank
walk
you.
towards
Thank you.
where people are working.
And what happens if I do? Sorry, let me rephrase. What happens exactly when I do?
You're well aware that it's
Doing as we speak.
a complicated practice, isn't it? It's not a clear principle.
Calling the station a sensitive site is clearly a desperate move. a last attempt to change the story after every other argument has failed. If the place was truly protected by strict security rules, then those rules would apply to everyone. But staff are still walking in and out without showing any visible ID. The site only suddenly becomes sensitive when a camera appears. PA quickly points out this contradiction and makes it clear that it is not really about security, but about ego. At this point, the inspector is no longer trying to properly enforce the law and is instead reacting out of personal frustration. PA correctly explains that real policing is based on clear, enforceable laws, not personal
public access beyond this point. You know
No, it didn't. It said no unauthorized access.
You know full well why we have that. Because of the dangers that police officers face.
Here we go.
And because of the hostilities from people ranging from casual, camera-wielding, angry people who don't like society and have a problem with public services,
I work in public
violent
service.
acts.
This is brilliant.
Through to violent acts.
Am I committing a violent act?
No, that's
Am
why
I
said
intimidating
through.
you?
So that range.
Am I intimidating you?
If you'd like to be famous, I suggest you come up with some content that has a purpose, or ask a question that you think you might get an answer to.
You're less than Wayne
Populist
Cousins.
rants like this, citing.
You're less than Wayne Cousins.
Bits of information.
Less than Wayne Cousins. He identified.
Now, if a police officer is on duty in public, I'd expect them to identify themselves. I've had to cut
On duty's the key.
because you've brought your angry rhetoric against public
On
service.
duty's the
These
key.
are people who work
On
here,
duty's
aren't
the key.
Using the dangers of the job as an excuse is a clear change in strategy. General concerns about safety are not the same as having real legal grounds, and PA immediately challenges that by asking the key question, what violent act have I committed? The silence that follows says more than any explanation about officer safety. The inspector seems to be projecting his own fears, or possibly past experiences, onto a calm and cooperative person in order to justify actions that do not have a proper legal basis. It is a common approach. When the law no longer supports the argument, he falls back on vague emotional claims about safety instead.
These officers may identify themselves because they're on duty. They're in uniform.
You're in uniform.
No, you've come to my office.
So
I
what?
don't face the public.
You
and
are
I
now.
work in an area that none of the public
You're
have
facing
access.
a member of the public right now,
So
but you have
also
no
then
right to
move on
remove me.
No, I said that I'm not going to.
You have no right to.
Well, let's talk about
You've
it.
argued trespass.
In a
Trespass.
public place.
Trespass is a civil matter.
It is,
If it's aggravated trespass, you're more than welcome.
You're standing in front of a building,
Said building.
which you don't have a right to stand in front
Standing.
of. And the moment you start
Untrue.
intimidating staff coming in and out
I'm
of
not
the main
intimidating
exit
anybody. That's
by
a
your
false
presence,
accusation. You're making a false
then
accusation
it
on
will become
record.
an aggravated trespass.
You're making a false
You're
accusation.
standing in front of the double security door
False
to some
accusation.
infrastructure which carries a risk and a
False
threat.
reporting is a
If
crime
those
under the
staff-
1967
if those
Criminal Act.
staff
You do
are
realise that, don't you?
intimidated by your presence, then you'll find yourself liable to be dealt with under aggravated trespass,
Yeah.
which is a criminal intent. So I'm going to leave you with the officers who are on duty.
You're going- for final
while you
time, you're
try
going
and
to-
intimidate my
Are you
staff with
trying
your
to-
angry
for the final
rhetoric, which
time?
we've heard so many times.
Then learn the
It's
lessons.
called conspiracy
Learn-
theories. And people are very
Are
enthusiastic
you going to
about
identify
it.
yourself, sir?
No.
Accusing PA of intimidation comes across as a final desperate move, and it is a serious claim with no real evidence of aggression or obstruction. PA is simply standing there calmly with a camera. Since the earlier arguments do not work, the inspector escalates to a more serious allegation of aggravated trespass. He tries to frame lawful filming as criminal behavior, while ignoring that the law requires actual disruption or interference to be proven. By making such a serious accusation without proper factual support, the inspector stops appearing as someone properly applying the law and instead seems to be stretching it in an attempt to justify his position.
Stand out the front of this building, then you may be committing an aggravated trespass because through
Who's the injured party?
harassment and
Who's the injured party?
If you let me finish.
Who's the injured party?
If you let me finish.
Who's the injured party?
I will answer that question with words.
Member of staff.
If you'll
They're
let
on
me-
duty. They
if
cannot
you
be
let me-
harassed, alarmed,
if
and
you let me-
distressed.
If
No.
you let me,
We've played
if you
bingo
let me
before.
Stand out
And they're
the
on
front.
duty.
If you stand out the front, intimidating them to prevent them doing their lawful activity,
If-
coming to work,
if
then you'll
speculative.
find yourself liable.
Have I committed that offence?
You'll find yourself
Am I suspected of committing
You'll
that
find
offence?
yourself liable to
This lawsuit's going
aggravated
up and up and up, isn't it?
I will wager you've never filed a lawsuit in anyone. I will wager.
And that's on record, folks.
I'll leave you with these officers.
Please don't
Go and
circle
enjoy
around,
your
sir.
YouTube channel. I hope your viewer likes watching it. Please leave the
It's
premises.
right to identify yourself.
No, sir.
And that's his final word.
The inspector relies on the word may as a weak way to imply wrongdoing while avoiding the need to actually prove anything. Plodding Along does not get distracted by the pressure and instead focuses on the key legal questions. Who is the victim? What is the obstruction? And where is the harm? There are no clear answers to these because no offense has been properly shown. The inspector tries to turn simple annoyance from staff into something more serious like aggravated trespass, even though that charge requires clear proof of intentional disruption, which he does not provide. By asking for proper explanations, PA exposes the situation as a baseless phishing attempt with no solid legal foundation. The officer cannot point to any specific unlawful act, which weakens his position. His eventual quiet return inside comes across as more than just leaving the scene. It suggests the enforcement did not have a strong basis. In that moment, the authority he was trying to project falls away, and the interaction appears more like a bluff than a properly supported legal action.